the fact is you have something here that feels really, light on your tongue,
Yeah,
and has nothing to do with the proof.
I love this. This is great. Smoke Wagon, 10 out of 10.
The Fred Minnick Show is brought to you by Michter's and 291 Colorado Whiskey.
And joining the Fred Minnick Show, actually the first person I've had back for the second time, Alyssa Bonagura. How are you doing, Alyssa? It's good to see you.
Good, Fred. Good to see you too. Thank you for all the amazing bourbon you've sent. This is unreal.
Well, it's funny. Like, we had such a great time at Hometown Rising. And, I'm getting at that point where it's time to start, like, rebooking some of my favorite guests. And
yes!
I reached out to you and you're like, yeah, what's up? Let's do it.
Hey, I'm really grateful you did. That was fun, wasn't it? Hometown Rising was a great time.
That was a great time for me. And I specifically remember you talking about your breakup boots. Like, I will never forget that moment of you talking about breakup boots. Because it just,
every girl needs them, and I think every girl probably buys them at some point in their life.
What are we supposed to buy as men? What are we supposed to do? Because we don't. I mean, boots like take a long time to break in. I feel like that'd be real uncomfortable. Yeah. Maybe just a bunch of bourbon. I mean, does that sound?
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure there's breakup bourbon with your name on it, just in case. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there probably is an old brand called Breakup Bourbon.
We should start it.
There's a blog ran by some friends of mine called Breaking Bourbon, but that was kind of in the honor of like meth labs,
I think Breakup Bourbon kind of sums up the male side of that. Or anyway.
That might be it. I like it. But it's that was when you were with the sisterhood, and now you're on this solo venture, and this is exciting times for you.
Oh, I'm so excited, man. Obviously 2020 brought a lot of changes for everyone, and the biggest change for me was getting back to my own music. And sometimes I think as you go through your life, like you kind of hit these different journey spots, because sisterhood, we were together five years, and it was such an amazing run. And now it's time for a new chapter, and I'm just really, really excited for the new chapter. And I kind of just dove into this space while I was locked in, and just wrote music and resurrected old songs from like 10 years ago that I hadn't ever recorded, and wrote new songs. And yeah, man, it's so, I can't wait for you to hear it. I'm just so excited about it all.
Oh, I can't wait either. Well, I've been keeping track of you and like all your TikTok adventures and on Instagram and everything. I mean, you're a very good follow on social media because you're vibrant. You're always positive, and of course you have incredible musical talent. So that never hurts.
Thank you so much. I think it's important to be positive. My mom turned 70 a couple weeks ago, and I asked her, tell me the secret, because you look amazing. And she literally just turned to me and said, Alyssa, the secret is being happy. You have to be happy in your life with everything that you do. And I think that that's the secret to a long life. And, she's the one who's always taught, her and my dad have really taught me to always be positive. So I try and be that for other people.
And of course, your mom and dad, Baillie and the Boys, very, very famous country group, So they've been in your shoes before,
Yeah, they sure have. And I learned a lot from them growing up. My mom, she had me, and then 3 weeks old, I was on the bus. So I basically was born on a tour bus, and every morning I'd wake up in a different city, and that was really amazing. And looking back on that, as a 32-year-old, and looking back on how my mom did that, it's like crazy to think that you take your 3-week-old on the bus and then you just make it work. But she had to, and And it was the best form of education I think that I could have gotten, because it kind of teaches you to adapt, you know?
Well, and you probably like thrusted your immune system forward. I mean, we've all been on those tour buses. They
I
weren't,
know.
they were clean.
I know. Well, my mom, she was so funny. She had a no smoking sign on the bus. Back then it was still kind of cool to smoke on the buses, and she had a no smoking sign on the bus, and she was like, "I'm taking my kid on the bus, and you guys all need to be nice to her, and we're going to make sure that we don't swear cuss," which totally didn't happen because my mother's from New Jersey and she curses like a sailor, but it's fine. Anyway, it was a great experience, and I'm the only child, so they're like my best friends. They're awesome.
That's so cool. And they just put out didn't they put out a single in the last couple of months? Didn't they do something new?
Yeah, my dad and I built this studio above our garage, and we started it in high school, and that's kind of why I got into engineering and music production and stuff. But we built the studio, and him and mom have just been making music. Like, they've never stopped making music, you know, even if they're not able to tour or, you know, do what they were doing. It's really inspiring, because my dad is just, I wake up and I hear him in the studio, and it makes me want to come up here and work. And I've been at their house actually all through quarantine. And this is my family house that I grew up in. I was born out here, and it's just been so wonderful to kind of spend some extra time with them in the coronavirus times, because it's the longest I've been home in probably 10 years, you know?
Well, I have to tell you, like, it's again, like, another inspirational, you know, kind of story about, you know, families coming together, and that's what it's been like for me too. Like, in very different ways. Like, I have a young family. I have a 7 and 2-year-old, but I mean, usually I'm traveling, and now I'm like just spending time with them. It's great.
Isn't that awesome? I mean, I think we're going to look back on this time, and obviously there was a lot of hardships, and I'm not brushing over that at all, but I think we have to look at the positives of everything. And that was definitely positives, getting to spend more time with our family and our animals, you know, like, I feel like my dogs understand me a lot more than they ever have.
Well, I mean, they're just like loving those walks and all that extra petting, you know.
They're like, what? And I think my dog Sam, he's really funny, but I think he's the one that's kind of like, all right, I'm ready for you to go back on the road now.
Love it. Well, we got some stuff to taste here. Now,
I'm so excited.
I sent you some definitely some fun things to taste here. I sent you a fan favorite in the whiskey community, some Smoke Wagon. So this is a highly coveted bottle here. People love this.
Okay.
I sent you Bardstown Bourbon Company's Fusion series. People love it.
Series.
And it's one too where the Fusion series, you know, a lot of people love it. Some people don't love it as much, but it's people like it. This is one I'm a huge fan of, and this is Four Gate. This is their batch 10. This is a straight rye whiskey. So this is going to be an adventure into. So we're going from a bourbon to basically a blend, finished blend.
I love it.
To a rum, a 4-year-old rum made by a woman in Colorado. So
wow.
Called Montanya. Yeah. So I had to get something that I picked that one because of the name. Like, I've always been fascinated. Like, I think you have like one of the coolest names.
Oh, thanks.
and like I was like, I gotta find something that has a really cool name to like go with her cool name.
Oh,
you know?
thanks, man.
You know?
Yeah, you know, me and Joe Bonamassa, we're like brother sister weird name things. I don't know what that is, but
you all should play together sometime. Like, do like
we just wrote a song together. He's a good friend of mine, and we wrote this awesome song together. So we thought of starting a band and calling it Italians Reunite or something. I don't know, something silly, but it's I'm glad you like my name, because a lot of people have a lot of different ways to say it, and I kind of like them all.
Bonagura is the right way to say it, right? Bonagura.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I mean, it's to me, it's a beautiful classic name that if I am not mistaken, like it has not been changed in your ancestry. Like you all kept it the
right.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. My family. This is so cool. You're asking me this because I'm now diving into that side of the family because that's on my dad's side, and it's all of the Bonaguras go back to Napoli and Rome, which is really cool. And then my mom's side, my grandmother was Italian as well. And my grandfather was Scottish and English. So we have a whole lineage in Scotland of the Baillie clan, which is Baillie and the boys. And then a whole lineage of Italian, which is really cool. So that's the Bonagura side.
So you have all kinds of drinking DNA in your lineage, and we're gonna
1,000,000%.
We're gonna do them proud today. So let's go ahead and start. Let's start with the Smoke Wagon. This is a 12-year-old. This is.
Do you like how I set this up for you, Fred?
I love it. It's really gorgeous.
To be really professional.
Like you have like such a fancy setup. Most people just are like at their desk and like, forced to go there. You're like actually excited and to sip some whiskey.
Well, this was like, honestly, man, like when we did that Hometown Rising hang, it was like the most fun I've had was sitting there talking about life and drinking bourbon with you. It was really fun.
That was so much fun. I really did have a blast with you all, and like everybody who came in and hung out that day. Lindsay L was great.
Lindsay.
I had Dylan Carmichael was fantastic. We had a lot of really great guests, and it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful.
It was a fun day. So here we are again. So
here
cheers.
We are.
So tell me how to do this.
Do you remember your training, Alyssa?
Refresh me. It's been a year and some bit.
All right, so we're working on with bourbon here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to analyze the color. Now, as you may recall, when bourbon, by law, they can't add coloring to it. They can't really do anything to it. Only thing they can do is put it in the new charred oak barrel and let the barrel do the work. And so when it goes into the barrel, it's as clear as the water from your tap. So every single day it's in that barrel, it's moving in and out, getting all the flavor, getting all the color. And so to me, looking at the colors a little bit, you can't really judge it all the way through, but it's like looking at an album cover. You look at an album cover, it kind of gets you excited. It gives you an idea of what the album's like.
Totally.
Inevitably you're going to have some that disappoint you based on color, and then some that are like, oh wow, that's better than the cover looks. But so it's the same with like analyzing a whiskey.
Cool. That is so cool. So this one's kind of like, it's kind of orange almost. It's kind of orange.
This is in that amber kind of like reddish. So orange would be in that kind of like realm. And it's always interesting too to like see like where we go with color. Like I will, like if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot and see the names of some of the colors that are out there, and it's like, when did we just move on from all of these simple Crayolas? There's like thousands of colors.
Well, that's why like Smoke Wagon would be a great palette for a wall, wouldn't it?
That would be a great palette for a wall.
What color's your room? Smoke Wagon? I don't know.
Bourbon lovers everywhere on the 9 o'clock news. Bourbon lovers everywhere licking their walls with the Smoke Wagon paint.
That would be amazing. Okay, so then what do we do? Then we sniff it?
Now we sniff it.
Ooh.
And you remember when we smell it, we want to smell it with your mouth open.
Where does okay. Weird question. Do you put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, or do you kind of just leave it?
Kind of let it hang. I kind of let it hang. But you if you want to put it on the roof of your mouth, kind of play around with that a little bit. But sometimes you'll be able to taste it as you kind of like exhale a little bit. There is a process where you can breathe in and out and really focus on it. You being a yogi, I can see you like mastering the breath of spirit. So you're like,
totally.
The breath of fires. And then you could just.
Have you done that before?
Oh,
Have you ever done that before?
I used to do a lot. I used to do a lot of yoga. I got out of it because like my favorite yoga was like on a DVD, and it was like I don't know, I just stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Kind of should get back into it though.
Yeah, man. It's interesting how that breath work is like really amazing. Who's the guy? He's like Danish or something, and he's got like an app you can get, and you do all these crazy breath things. Have you heard of that? Have you heard of this?
Yeah. Like breathing is everything. Like breathing is like you can do so many things by focusing on breathing. Like it can take you out of bad places. You know, and I've used breathing. Mindfulness has been my big thing, but breathing can be a part of that, you know?
Yeah. So, well, and it's also great for sipping whiskey. So there you go.
By God. So I tell you, I get a lot of chocolate and roasted almonds in this. Some coconut. What are you picking up there?
I was going to say coconut.
What am I doing? Now, that'll be the last time I will give you my notes because I want you to pick out your notes.
Yeah, to me, it's really sweet. It smells sweet, and it reminds me of the beach.
Oh,
for some reason,
the beach, very nice.
I don't know why. It's just it feels like it's gonna be fresh or something, right?
Yes, it does. And now we shall taste.
Okay.
You should feel the sweetness on the tip of your palate. The savory and the bitterness in the middle, a little bit of bitterness toward the back, and if you have like a kind of a super palate, you might feel it along your jawline a little bit, like the sides of your tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is some pretty gorgeous bourbon right here.
I think that's one of my favorite bourbons I've ever had. I know that sounds crazy, but like bourbon to me is really, and I have to say this too, and it makes sense because you're the bourbon king. So of course this makes sense. But when we did our last podcast together, that was some of the best bourbon I've ever had. And the problem with bourbon sometimes for me is it's too sweet, you know, like, cause I really love Scottish whiskey and Scotch, you know,
it's in your DNA.
It's in my DNA, which now I know.
Yeah.
However, this reminds me of Scotch, which is really interesting. It's really fresh and it's light. I really love it.
It's interesting that you say it's light because it's 110 proof, 111 proof.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah, it's above average, but that's the thing. It's like you do not judge the quality of something by the proof. The fact is you have something here that feels really light on your tongue.
Yeah.
And has nothing to do with the proof.
I love this. This is great. Smoke Wagon. 10 out of 10.
Wow. I love it.
10 out of 10. This must be fun for you because you get to see and hear other people's like, I don't know. You get to see all different kinds of people's taste buds and palates and things like that because something that I might like, you might not like, you know, and vice versa, which is so interesting. Well,
and this is where, like, I try really, really hard to train people and to teach people how to taste, whether it's on my YouTube channel or whether it's like on a private tasting. I try not to impart what I like so much as like teaching people how to find out what they like. And with the podcast, you know, it's a little different because I'm trying to also like talk about people's music or next movie or something like that. So it's a little bit of a back and forth between like the spirit and the and their careers. And so like, you know, having had some training time with you already, I feel a lot more comfortable about you discerning and figuring out what you really, really like. And also, I don't send people what I call shelf turds. Like, I send people good stuff.
I know.
With the exception of people who live in Canada, I can't get them anything.
No.
Yeah. I mean, the Canadian authorities would put a warrant out for my arrest. So they have to go and buy their own stuff. And then, you know, whatever they can buy, I'll get. So it's
Oh my God. Well, I feel very lucky to try this. This is really great. So is it from Nevada? Where is this from?
So
why does it say Nevada?
This is distilled in Indiana and bottled in Nevada. And the guy who's behind this is he's a real character, and I think he's one of the great new personalities in American whiskey.
Wow.
And he's just a fun guy.
Well,
So.
I just tasted the smoke on my third taste. I just now tasted the smoke, which is interesting.
It does have a hint of smoke, and the name, nothing to do with the name, but it really does have some smoke notes to it.
I love it. I love it.
Boom.
You know what's kind of cool? It's I was just thinking about this when we started drinking, but like I always feel like it's the same thing with any kind of alcohol that you have in a setting where you're with your friends, and it becomes almost like a really like, I don't know, there's like some kind of camaraderie when you're sharing something together like
Absolutely.
this, because you really start to see and connect with someone in a different way. And that's why I love music so much, is that, you connect on someone in this crazy deep level, but it kind of is similar to sharing an experience with a certain kind of bourbon,
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly right. And music is also about taste and what people want and like.
Yeah.
And it's the same with bourbon. Some people,
it's so cool.
Some people like this brand is like, this is like their everything. Like they can't wait to get it. They seek it. It's like a crazy. It has an incredible cult-like following to it.
Wow.
Whereas like some, and I just put a video about this the other day, Knob Creek, I can guarantee I could just get a standard Knob Creek off the shelf in any place in the country, and it would go toe-to-toe with anything on my shelves, and it has won spirits competitions before. But nobody gives it the time of day because it's everywhere,
Right.
So it's kind of like I compare something like, Knob Creek to a band in the 80s and 90s that had hit after hit after hit after hit, but no one ever really considers them a great band because their stuff was just always in the top 15. And it was never that like Michael Jackson over the top, or Prince or something like that. They're always there in the conversation.
Yeah.
But,
it's nice to not take those for granted, because then you re-listen to them and you're like, oh damn, these were great.
Exactly. And and I didn't want to name any names there, but there's you could go down the list of bands that would meet that kind of qualification. And and it's the same. It's the same with whiskey. But
well, I'm impressed by Smoke Wagon. I like them.
So from 1 star to another, let's now go to the Fusion series.
Okay.
This is a blend of 12, 3, and 2-year-old bourbon.
Okay. Now, Fred, am I using the right glass? These are the small glasses, right? Because there's 2 different sizes. I've got this big glass here, but that's for later.
I think I sent you. I think I sent you like 1 or 2. How many glasses did I send you?
I don't know. I didn't get any glasses. I don't think I got any glasses. I think
we didn't send you glasses. Oh
no!
Oops.
What the fuck? No, just kidding.
Uh oh. I done got what the fuck.
It's okay. I had glasses. My mom had just gotten some for her birthday, so we lucked out.
Perfect.
You sent me amazing bourbon though, so it's okay.
Boom.
All right, so
explain
this to me.
So this
Bardstown?
So Bardstown Bourbon Company. This is a relatively new. This is a new distillery, and when someone is new, kind of like Smoke Wagon, they acquire barrels from other facilities, and they will basically do their own bottlings with them. And so until they have like their own whiskey to put out, they will be bottling other people's whiskeys. It's basically, in music, I guess it would be the same as, recording the same song as everybody else, until you're ready to have your own stuff out. But it's a brand that is on a trajectory like this.
I love it.
They're doing everything right.
I like the word fusion. It makes me think of jazz fusion and Aaron Sterling. Do you follow him? He's an amazing drummer.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to check him out.
He does these like fusion Fridays, and they're really epic. But I'm excited to taste this though. Oh wow!
Completely
this
different
is a bit
nose.
Floral. It's like floral.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Completely different nose. Very different nose.
I don't know. I smell like flowers. Is that even a thing?
Yeah.
Can that be a thing?
That's a good thing, yeah.
How do you get past the stinging of the nostrils to the smell?
So you're opening your mouth, right? You got your mouth open, it's like flowing out, so it's still stinging when you do it?
Yeah. That must be really strong.
I see. Be moving it around. Move it around.
Okay.
You got it concentrated, so just kind of move it around, and you'll see like one nostril will be picking up a little something different than the other, but that will help it as well. I get kind of like when I get kind of into it, I don't do that as much, but like when I should have told you that from the top.
That's okay. That's good. I'm
letting you down, Alyssa.
It's okay. You're doing great. I love learning as I go along. That's what I do in my life pretty much anyway.
That's it. Got to learn.
Fake it till you make it, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Woo.
Yeah. It's not as sweet as the last one. It doesn't smell as sweet.
This one's got some definite corn notes on there.
Totally. Wow. It tastes yeah, I can taste like the woodiness of the barrel.
like some charness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely has that kind of charred element. And that would be like they've got a healthy amount of 2-year-old bourbon in there and 3-year-old. So the majority of this blend is 2 and 3-year-old, so super young.
Yeah.
And so like that graininess from the corn is there. You can still pick up the wood, from the barrels, but they've got a good amount of 12-year-old in there that's flattening it out a little bit. But as I taste this, it's not balanced for me. So, but we're also coming off of something that was in that mid 90 point bourbons that we just tasted with the Smoke Wagon, and so maybe it wasn't fair to taste it right after that one. I don't know. But
it's really good. I mean, it's really nice. I agree with you though. The other one has more of a distinct taste than this one does. It kind of reminds me of I don't know. That to me it reminds me of bonfire, like hanging out by the bonfire.
So solo cup, staying out till 3:00 in the morning, bonfire. you got someone with a tailgate, a dog running around. There's always that one or two people who end up missing, and you're like, oh screw it, we're just gonna go because we can't find them. They went off and found some shack to make out or something, and you're like,
totally.
Where'd they go?
That's that. It reminds me of autumn for some reason. But I could drink this one in the summer, which is interesting. I could drink it in the summer. The Smoke Wagon, I think, would be good in the summer on a hot day, but it'd also be really good in the winter. And this one, the Fusion series, I probably would only drink in the winter for some reason.
Interesting.
Isn't that weird? That's a weird comment, isn't it?
No, I think that's a great comment.
Isn't it interesting how certain drinks have a vibe like that?
Yeah.
You don't drink Pimm's in the winter. That's such an English summertime drink. If you go to Hyde Park in England, you bring Pimm's, but you would never have it. You'd never have it at Christmas.
Well, one of the great examples is the mint julep. If the Kentucky Derby wasn't around, I mean, 5 people in the world might be drinking the mint julep. I mean, it's just
Totally.
It's not a drink that you kind of like crave. And some inevitably will comment on this podcast. That's not true. You're doing Kentucky wrong. We love the mint julep. Like whatever.
Well, some things just have a vibe, you know.
That's
some
right.
Things just have a vibe, and that's okay. I like vibes. The more and more that I like get through certain areas of my life, I'm like, I think I like that vibe for that time, and that's okay. Yeah. You can be unapologetic, you know.
Speaking of vibes, where musically are you kind of stepping outside of country a little bit, or are you staying in the country sphere?
Well, it's funny you say that because I've been trying to figure it out. I think genre is such an interesting concept, especially now in 2021, where I feel like Spotify and the streaming services, they've really made it like shuffle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I have some friends that they're in an amazing band, and they kind of categorize their music as shuffle because it's kind of like a little bit of everything. But as I listen through all these things, it's like I'm always going to have country elements. I mean, I grew up around Reba McEntire and Vince Gill and, you know, Dolly Parton. She's like one of my heroes. And so I think that all comes from like Appalachian folk music, if you really go back to it, you know? And so I love those melodies. Like, you can't beat an Appalachian folk song melody. It's like unreal, you know? I mean, if you listen to all the old Carter family stuff, you know, there's so many amazing songs. But I grew up listening to Top 40. So I feel like
Casey Kasem's Top 40?
Yeah, I loved Casey Kasem. And like I would listen to like whatever was on Top 40. So that means Shania Twain was on Top 40 at the time, but also NSYNC was on Top 40 and Destiny's Child and Boyz II Men and like all these amazing, you know, pop songs and things that I loved like that. But I also grew up in the time when all the females were kind of dominating, like Faith Hill and Jody Messina and just amazing females, but also like Alanis Morissette and Michelle Branch, who is now a friend of mine, which is so cool. I got to meet her and we played a show together a long time ago. We just have been friends ever since. But like that music was like some of the soundtrack to my childhood, like you know, being a teenager, you know? So I'm really just like, I think if I can describe the new music, by the way, Coldplay, if I could like pick bands and stuff, like I was also like really emo. I went through phases. This is so crazy. So I went through phases with music. In the very beginning, when I was like discovering what I wanted to write and sing about, it really stemmed from what my parents were making, obviously, because that's what I was absorbing as like the sponge, you know? And then that kind of trailed off into Top 40 because I used to dance. I grew up dancing like hip hop and like jazz and lyrical, and whatever was playing in the dance classes was stuff that I would be like, oh wow, I've never heard that song, and I'd go home and listen to it and be like, that's cool, you know. And then I had like these phases where it was like I listened to Copeland, this band called Copeland that was like really emo at the time, and Hayley Williams from Paramore, she used to live in Franklin, and we used to hang out when we were kids, and her whole upbringing was like the way that Paramore started was like she was opening for Copeland. And so it was all this music that was just like really amazing melodies and really amazing lyrics and story. And that's what country music has always really been to me. If you really listen, you get down to like the nitty gritty of what country music is. It really comes down to the melody and the story, you know? And
I heard Garth Brooks say too, that the opening line is more important in country music than any other genre. Yeah. Like you have to like really deliver that opening line.
And now I think more than ever, because people's attention span is kind of like, you know,
so small. Yeah.
You've got like 10 seconds to reel someone in. And I know. And this is such a cool story. And I'm like really excited to share this with you because I haven't really told many people about this, but at the top of last year, I got to meet Chris Martin, and Chris Martin from Coldplay. I mean, I've always been obsessed with Coldplay since Yellow came out. And I love Brian Eno because I went to college for music engineering in Liverpool. I didn't know if you knew that, but I was there for 3 years engineering and, you know, studying in the town of the Beatles. My dad was a huge Beatles fan growing up, and was always like, these are the guys. Like, if you listen to any other music, listen to the Beatles, you know? And so he's right. And I became a huge fan of McCartney. And then when I found out that he had a school, it was the only place I applied. And I told myself, look, if I get in, I'm going to go. And if I don't get in, I'm going to do music 24/7. And I'm just going to not go to college because I wasn't really great in school. And I got in. So I ended up going. And while I was there, I just had all this amazing influence of different kinds of music. And Liverpool's a lot like Nashville, where there's all different kinds. There's rock, there's country, there's pop, there's indie, you know, there's like metal. And we would just go out and see all these different kinds of musicians. But anyway, I really got into Coldplay there and Brian Eno and studying how Brian Eno produces. And I just loved him. So last year, the show that we played right before the pandemic, Sisterhood played a show in LA, and I saw that Coldplay was playing this benefit concert, and I was like, Ruby, we have to go see Coldplay. They're my favorite band, you know? And she had never seen them. And so we turned up to this show, and it was really small. They played at the Palladium. It was amazing. And they did their whole new album, Everyday Life, which was just up for Album of the Year at the Grammys. And at the after party, we got to meet Chris, and Chris had heard our music because Dakota Johnson and him were dating, and Dakota was friends with Ruby. Long story short, he heard our music, and it was this crazy thing. And I was like, oh my God, what do I say to my hero, you know?
Okay, we're painting basically what's happened here, everybody. Alyssa's going into fangirl mode. She's separating from herself a little bit. And suddenly, like, here we are. We have someone who's a professional musician backstage all the time, and it's all going away. Fangirl enters scene. All right, go. Fangirl.
You're so right. Thank you for that. It's true. I need to compose myself a bit. No, honestly, like it was everything I could have imagined and more. Like, you know, when you meet your heroes, you're almost a bit nervous about what they're going to say and how they're going to be. And he was amazing. And he was like, oh my God, I love the Sisterhood band. You guys are really great. And how's it going? And what are you doing? And how's the record? And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, what is my life? You know? And
that's so awesome.
It was so cool. And I was like, you know, it's going okay. You know, we're trying to figure out a single on the radio. And he was like, Alyssa, you've got to stop writing for the labels. You've got to write for yourself always. And I took that away with me that night, and I was like, he's so right, because the truth is, when you create music for anything other than like what you're meant to be creating it for, which is, I believe it comes from God, you know, there's no way it can really humanly come from me. Like, it comes from God to me. And so if I'm the channel and I'm channeling that, to have someone tell me, oh, that's too country, or that's too rock, or that like inhibits my freedom of creating. And that was a really amazing thing. So anyway, he also sent me some things that, it was like this insane moment where he was like, I've got some things that I think are going to help you guys with production. I'll send them to you if you promise to never share them. So I have this like sacred list from Chris of things that I've been going by when I'm recording my music. And since I've kind of, you know, dove into all this new solo music, and my hero kind of just inspired me to kind of kick me in the butt and be like, just make music for the reason of making music and what's inside your soul. And that's what all this new music is for me.
You know, so. And I think the beautiful part of that is that, you know, when you get in the creative space and you have teams who work with you, you get agents, you get managers, and their role is to give you advice and get you in the best setting. But at the end of the day, it is what's in your heart. It is. And getting that out there.
It is.
And if you chase the carrot, you know, I wrote one book in my career that I look at it and I hate it. I won't say what it is. But I hate this book.
Yeah.
And it's like, and my agent at the time was like saying like, you've got a really great deal on this. I'm like, I'm just telling you, I was like, this isn't going to sell. This doesn't fit me.
Yeah.
I did it the best I could. It was actually up for a lot of awards and did okay. But
Yeah.
I look at it and I'm like, it wasn't me. And I wrote to what someone else wanted, and that was, and when I see that, I feel my creativity, my creative soul just kind of getting ripped apart a little bit. So.
And isn't that interesting? I think you have to go through those moments though to get to the other side of that, which is, moments like with someone like your hero telling you, don't ever write for anything other than the love of doing it and being the messenger. I mean, like I'm really a vessel. So it's like, if I can be that for someone else and we can connect in that way, I think that people see through the bullshit of it, like, and anyway, so that's just been my total, like, going way back to what you asked me was, what does the new music sound like? It's a bit of all of my influences from when I was born until now. And I think it fits in maybe almost in that alternative place, because if you had to put a label on it, it's kind of like everything. It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Well, I do think that's the perfect segue to ask you the question. Would you like to play a song?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to play a song.
All right, so I am going to, I will, for your purposes, I will be coming out of frame and going on mute. So you will have the stage to yourself here.
Well, I feel like I should play a new song for you, Fred. One that's not out there. What do you think about that? I think I'm just going to do it.
Like I said, it's your stage.
Okay. All right.
You go, girl.
So I wrote this song in quarantine on a Zoom, right? We were getting set up with a lot of Zooms, which was really interesting to kind of like get it, like to get the hang of that, because you're so used to being in a room with someone and feeling their energy when you're writing a song. But this was a really fun experience, and I really felt like it was kind of the end of the world when all of this started happening. And then I realized that when something is falling apart, sometimes that's when everything is falling into place, and you don't see it until a bit after, after the initial fall of it all. But so this song is called End of the World, and it's all about how maybe there's something beautiful that comes out of feeling like the end of the world. I wrote this with my friend Brandon. Kind of feels like the end of the world right now. Everything's changing, everybody's shutting down. There's a million reasons to leave, but you're still here with me, making me believe that tomorrow's gonna come around. When it kind of feels like the end of the world right now. What if you and I were falling harder than the sky above? Could we be the last one standing in the wreckage and the rust? What if we just kept on dancing while the cities turned to dust? Could this be the beginning of love and the end of the world? The end of the world. When you're looking at me, you feel like I'm coming alive. Like spring turns to summer in the light of your green eyes. I've been broken for so long, like a bird without a song. Here in your arms, the music never dies. What if you and I were falling harder than the sky above? Could we be the last one standing in the wreckage and the rust? What if we just kept on dancing while the cities turned to dust? Could this be the beginning of love? end of the world. End of the world. If all we have is now, I'll give it all to you. And if you're going down, then I want to go too. 'Cause it kind of feels like the end of the world right now. Don't it kind of feel like the end of the world now? What if you and I were falling harder than the sky above? Could we be the last ones standing in the wreckage and the rust? What if we just kept on dancing while the cities turned to dust? Could this be the beginning of love at the end of the world? End of the world. End of the world. End of the world.
Well, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
I really
much.
I have to tell you, like, that's something that we were all thinking too. Like, every one of us was like, you know, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Are the zombies coming? Is there, like, you know, is there going to be? As everything was going on, you know, with my military background, I kept saying, I kept telling my wife, I was like, you know, if I'm an enemy of this country, this is what I strike. Because, like, we don't got shit together. We hate each other. And it's like, it was just, it was so much. You know?
Yeah, it was so much. And it did feel like the end of the world. And I think now it's finally starting to clear a bit, you know? But it still feels a bit like that. And I think that the only way to come out of that is to come together, you know, in more ways than one, and like really try and hear each other and, you know, spend time listening to each other rather than just talking, you know, talking at each other. It's like, sometimes I hear the news and I'm just like, I can't listen to it. You know, it's just too much. It's too much to handle.
Yeah.
You know?
And, you know, when, you know, when the Capitol was stormed, that was just like, that was a day of numbness for me. And I remember I've had so many great guests on this show, and I had Killer Mike, you know, run the Jewels on the show. He's become this incredible, like, social justice warrior, but a very, like, he, you know, if anybody listens to him and sits down with him and talks to him, like, I don't care what your beliefs are, like, you come away more engaged, more understanding. Like, you know, he's just such a great communicator.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, the whole show that I have is like, I drink whiskey with people and we talk about stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, it's about whiskey and having a good time. But, you know, he stopped in the middle of it and he's like, if we all just sat down and had a glass of whiskey together, the world would be a better place. I was like,
it would be.
I was like, I love you,
It would be. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Cheers indeed. Oh my God, Alyssa.
Man, that's the truth, though. I'm telling you, it's like that, and music. Music's like the one thing I think that connects us all in a way that nothing else can. And I mean, look at us. We met through music, which is so cool, and your love of bourbon, which is awesome. So there you go.
Absolutely. And as we're going to the Foregate now, this is the rye. And like,
I'm getting tipsy. I'm getting a little tipsy, Fred. I'm glad I sang just then, because I think in like 10 minutes I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm gonna use a bigger glass because, okay.
Well, it's that time now. I will warn you, this one's packing some heat. Okay. We're at 112.5 proof here.
All right, tell me about the Foregate. So what are we doing here? I'm a mess.
So Foregate, this is their batch 10.
Ooh.
They
it smells like chocolate.
They specialize in also like the other ones we had tasted, like acquiring whiskey from other folks and like kind of doing their own thing. This is a split stave. Oh my gosh, that chocolate is there. A little bit of like a pecan there as well. Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh, I like it.
This is going straight to my hips. I feel like I'm eating a chocolate pecan pie.
Oh my God, I love chocolate pecan pie. Are you kidding me? Today I'm cheating with you, just so you know. I've been cheating on this like lifestyle thing that I'm trying to do, like not eating sugar and things like that.
Well, technically there's no sugar here.
Exactly.
It's
so
all alcohol. Good. This is all pure alcohol. Well, not pure alcohol, but
I think I think when you drink stuff like that, it's probably really good for you, actually.
That's what I tell myself every single day, Alyssa.
It's probably good for you. Okay, I haven't tasted it yet.
Oh, I've already tasted. You go.
Wow. I can really taste the chocolate and the nuttiness of it. It almost tastes like caramel a little bit too.
This is
wow.
This has like this this reminds me of some like really like mineral like wines that I've had.
Yeah.
It's got some complication there, and it's got a lot of sweetness too underneath, but this is gorgeous.
I love this.
Yeah, this is gorgeous.
This is the 4 gate.
There are 4 gates.
4 gates.
4 gates. That's kind of a Star Trek.
Hold on! Did you see Game of Thrones? Please tell me you watched Game of Thrones.
Oh, yes.
I loved Game of Thrones so much. And
I hated the ending. The last season, I just was like, they just hung it up, you know. I was so mad at the last season.
I got to make a confession. Like, I actually didn't watch the last couple episodes because I hated the last season so much.
You know what? I have to tell you, you did yourself a favor. Because
really?
Yes, because the hate that you had going into it, those last 2 episodes would have been way worse. Like, the season really, it climaxed at the death of the White Walkers, like the king of the White Walkers. That's where it
that should have been the end.
Should have been the end, and it's like if they weren't going to do another season for the war after that, then they should have just said fuck it and done another series, or like played it in limbo, like. Because where they went afterward was just like rushed acting. There was Starbucks, there was water bottles, Starbucks cups left down.
I think I saw that.
It was so bad.
I think it was like they turned it into the last one that I saw was when Kit Harington was on the dragon with the girl. I can't remember her name, the dragon queen, and they were riding the dragon together, and I was just like, okay, this is like the never-ending story with Falcor, and I'm out. I was out. I was just like, never-ending story, and it was just Kit Harington just flying.
It's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate.
That was the last one I saw.
But by the way, anyway. Never-ending story, great movie. Like
I love the Never-ending story.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Great movie.
I feel like they should bring that back.
I don't want them to remake that one because they'll screw it up, and it's the I don't know. I just like leave that one alone. Maybe leave that one alone.
But maybe you should just like make a resurgence, because I feel like there's a lot of people like younger than me that haven't seen it that should see it. Like, it's so good. Like, if people like Stranger Things, they would love Falcor,
Well, but also like it was a story of hope and like overcoming and completing a quest and giant turtles,
giant turtles
and dogs and
I have an Old English sheepdog it's kind of like Falcor. to be honest. He's huge.
That is so cool.
He's huge. He's as big as me, and his paws are like this big.
Aw.
He's really sweet.
I get a little emotional when we talk about our fur,
babies.
Our fur babies, our fur family. My 14-year-old dog, she's got dementia, and she's on her last leg, and I can't do it. I can't bring myself to it. I'm finding and then we have a puppy, makes things complicated, but he's actually keeping her engaged, and because she can still kick his ass, Yeah. So she's still engaged, but she doesn't know where she is half the time, and
what's her name?
Remo.
Can we toast to Remo?
Yeah, toast to
Let's
Remo.
toast to Remo.
My baby girl. My baby girl.
They're your family. They're your family. To Remo, we lost an Old English sheepdog last Thanksgiving, and it was the hardest thing that I've done in a long time. But they look to you. It's you just have to treat them like you would your best friend, because that's what they are, right?
Yeah. And it's like, I kind of I hate that we live so much longer than them, because when you have the one, it was the same with my cat. Like, I had my perfect cat, and and it was a couple years ago, but we lost him. It was awful. So it's
awful. They're always around. I feel like they're souls.
Yeah,
really...
we my wife and I, we do talk about that, and like how her cat especially is looking down, judging us, with her claw up from afar,
Aww.
Yeah. So
have you heard that Chris Stapleton song? I think it's called Maggie. It's about their dog.
Oh yes.
It's so good, and I heard it this past summer, and or whenever the record came out, I can't remember when it came out, but I listened to that record, and that song came on, and I was weeping in the car, just thinking about my dog, because it's so true. Like, I think he says something like, I can tell you that a dog has a soul, because Maggie was the best, and I loved it. I loved it so much.
Yeah. Like there are two country music singers that I will stop and just in the middle of nowhere just start crying. Luke Combs and Chris Stapleton,
100%.
Whatever they're singing. My dad took me to get McDonald's. Oh my God, my dad used to take me to get McDonald's.
I know. Luke Combs is amazing. They're both so nice. That to me means everything. I was talking to someone about music and just, I don't know, just the souls who create the music. And I think that you can really hear the type of person someone is through their music. I really feel that. It's really interesting. And sometimes I feel like we get given the gift, and then it kind of turns into something, and whatever that becomes is okay. But it is really cool to hear Chris Stapleton sing like that and talk about that stuff, and then meet him and realize that he's a really amazing, genuine human being. It matches.
That is so cool, and I have found that to be the case with most musicians.
Yeah,
there are some exceptions. And answering phone calls at 3:00 in the morning on a holiday. It's like, oh hey, what's going on? So-and-so doesn't like what they said there. You got to take it down. Oh, cool. It's 3 a.m.
It's 3 a.m. You knew what you were getting into when we started drinking bourbon.
Yeah, the worst is when I get blamed for the hangover the next day. That's happened a few times.
But I'm drinking water, so we're fine.
That's good, and that's why I will ask you, do you have it in you to finish the set here?
Yeah, let's do it.
To have a little Montanya Rum.
I'm in. I got my last glass right here.
This is a 4-year-old Colorado rum.
Okay.
Rum must be made with a sugarcane base.
Yeah.
And this is an all-woman-owned distillery. They won Best Craft Distillery a few years ago.
No way.
Yeah.
Girl power. All about it.
They are absolutely awesome.
I gotta put this one up here too.
There you go.
Wait.
And then the last one I sent you, I don't have it here for me to taste, but you've got it to taste on your own. The 291, also from Colorado.
I'm so excited. Wait, this way. There you go. Yes. Okay, I'm so excited. This is really interesting. I just smelled this.
Completely different, right? I mean, you're looking at kind of like some herbs. Smells a little forestry.
This sounds so strange. I'm not really sure why this is bringing back this memory, but I went to Spain one time.
Mm-hmm.
We were on tour with Steven Tyler, and we went to Madrid, Spain.
By the way, hold on. Yeah, we were on tour with Steven Tyler. We were in Spain, and
I know it's weird. It's weird. My life is weird. It's like,
awesome.
But it is kind of strange. Like I've been like, I actually think that this whole time of like turning inward kind of actually helped me to really understand all the things that have happened in the last like 10 years for me, which is like, I heard this interview with Ed Sheeran, and he was talking about like how he was always striving for the next thing. And once he got to the massive stadium, Wembley in London, it was like, that was his goal. And once he got there, he felt so empty because he had not really watched he hadn't been present through the journey of it, because he was always aiming for the next thing.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that, and like, I'm so grateful that I had this year to really reflect on like all the amazing things, like, and the blessings that had come to me. Like, that working with Steven Tyler was one of the best days of my life. Like, him and I recorded a duet together, and hopefully that will come out at some point in the future. But like, I'll never forget that day. It was like so magical, like how that whole thing happened, and like going on tour with him. And he was so kind to us on the road. Like, he made sure we were really taken care of and safe. And and it's just crazy like that. And like working with people like Rod Stewart and being on tour with him, I mean, just to watch his work ethic, it was just incredible. But you kind of go through your life, and like as you're going through it, it's really important to just like stop and like look around, and take it in. And I felt like I got to really reflect on that this year.
Well, I have to say that I'm really glad you said that, because we have a tendency as a species to reflect on what we don't have, and I think that leads to a lot of emotional distress, and it can put you down a bad spiral, and it doesn't, for me, the presence of my boys and my wife, that was like, I mean, I keep saying this, I have the greatest job in the world. People pay to sip whiskey with me. It's amazing. But you can take all that away. Just don't take my family. Like I could be sweeping floors at Starbucks and be happy as long as I have my family. And
that's what it's all about, man. Like happiness and love and the people around you. And I lost a lot of people around me, like just the way that life works. It's the way that life works. It's like this spiral, and as you go down the spiral of life, you meet these people along the way, and some of them stay, and then some of them stay behind, and you have to, like, there's a Coldplay song. I think it was on there.
Coldplay. I love it.
Coldplay. There's a Coldplay song, and they had a poem by Rumi that was in this song, and it was so cool. I think it was on their Adventure of a Lifetime record, and it's called The Guest House, and it's all about how, like, entertain and welcome every person that comes into your life, because each one has been sent as a guide from beyond. And that like really resonated with me, because as you move through this period of life, like every year that we get to be alive, which is such a blessing, we go through these hardships of losing friends or losing people to illnesses, and and just like the ebb and flow of like the nature of the world, which is the ups and downs. But everyone has been sent to you from beyond to kind of guide you and help you to, like, I don't know, just be grateful for what you do have, you know, when you have it.
Absolutely.
So
well, cheers to that. And
here's that.
And again, a comment on this distillery. Like they were a big part of my book, Rum Curious.
Cool.
Montanya is all, they're all women power. They do a great job. I wrote a book called Whiskey Women. This is Women's History Month. I'm a huge proponent and fan of women getting into the distilled spirit space that's been that they've had a long history of being a part of, but got kind of spaced out when it became like a business. Men came in, kind of pushed them aside. But women were the first distillers. So here's
no way.
Yeah.
There you go.
So here's a toast to all the women distillers out there, and to Montanya Rum.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I love this.
It's pretty
to me,
tasty.
I can taste the earth. I don't know why. I feel like it tastes like the earth.
Like it's, as a rum goes, it's light on like the kind of molassesy, sugarcaney notes, but when you distill sugarcane, like you can get some of those kind of vegetal, kind of earthiness to it, and this definitely, and there's a hint of honey there. I get some pine on the nose. It's just
some spice. Like there's like a cool spice to it.
It's very pleasant.
I love it. It's really light and really refreshing. Yeah, girls, girl power. Get it. Montanya.
I know. It's like I said, just the coolest name. I love that.
I love it. Okay, so can I tell you what my favorite out of all of them were, though?
Let's do it. Hold on, I gotta pour my favorite.
Okay.
Oh no, you go, and then I'll go.
Okay, drum roll.
Oh, I think I have the four. I think I have a drum roll in here. Nope.
Do you have one?
No, I have a bicycle horn. Will that count? Will that work?
We'll do that one. Do that one anyway. My favorite is the Nevada Smoke Wagon.
Hey, it's my favorite too.
Yeah.
All right. Woo.
I'm gonna pour myself some more.
We're gonna pour ourselves some more, everybody. Just stick around.
Hey, great. It's a great time out in the
And then we're gonna sing a duo. I don't sing, but I'm gonna do it here.
Oh no, that was like, cheers, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, it really is great to just like reconnect and like
you too.
And like hang out. Like that interview we had, it was so much fun. And there are very few like lines in interviews that stick with me, like breakup boots. Like your breakup boot comment. Like I've always wanted to know the story behind it, like the guy.
Did I ever tell you the story?
No, Ruby cut you off and was like, "No, don't tell her. Don't say anything." So I was.
Do you want me to tell you the story?
It's up to you. Listen, I did not bring that back up, for the story, but I'm now very curious. I've always been.
It's a really crazy story, and it goes to the theme of what we were talking about earlier about all these like people that I've met, which I literally. I can't believe like things that have happened in my life. It's been crazy. But okay, so we were recording in Los Angeles and my boyfriend and I had just broken up and I was really upset about it. We were together for like 6 years and it was really, really hard. And he's an amazing human being. So I have nothing bad to say about him in any respect. But when I was there, I basically just went on this, I don't know, when you go to LA and you're like single, you have like a different like mindset. I don't know, as a woman, like I think too, I just felt like I needed something to make me feel better in this weird way. And so I went shopping. And I got invited to this like premiere to this movie. My friend Boyd was in this movie, and he was like, "Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Yes, of course." But I have nothing, like, I didn't bring anything to wear, like, to this premiere. So I went to Fred Siegel, and I saw these boots, and they were these white thigh-high leather boots. And I was like, I don't know if I can wear those to the premiere, but I'm going to wear those for the rest of my life on tour, on stage, because they were so badass, but they were super expensive. And I kind of just had that, like, fuck it mentality where I was like, I'm just going to buy the freaking boots. I called them my breakup boots. And I was really on the fence about keeping them because I felt really bad that I'd spent all this money on these, like, Italian leather boots, you know? And I went to the studio, and we were recording at Henson in Los Angeles, which is a very, very famous recording studio. Tom Petty, Joni Mitchell, one of my other heroes, they've all recorded there. And our girlfriend Fariel runs the place, and she's such an amazing human being, and she's also a fashionista. Like, she's amazing. So I was telling her about these boots, and she was like, look, bring them to the studio, and let me see them on you, and I'll give you my honest opinion. If you don't like them, we'll have a runner send them back to Fred Siegel for you, and we'll return them. I was like, okay, done. So I bring them to the studio, and we're, like, in between vocal takes, and I go to put these breakup boots on, and I'm wearing this, like, t-shirt dress, and I was like I was in my studio gear, like, you know, I wasn't, like, dressed up or anything. And I put these boots on, and I open up the door to the studio hallway, which is, like, when you walk into Henson, there's Studio A is, like, to the right, Studio B is to the right, Studio A is in front of you, and then there's Studio C where Joni Mitchell recorded, like, Blue. You know, she's wow. That room's like her room. And it's super magical. We were recording in B, which is the Karen Carpenter room. And there's, like, I've got this crystal, but there's, like, a big crystal on the wall. And it's like, they call it the Karen Carpenter room. Anyway, I walk out of the door, and John Mayer is walking towards me, but I don't see him. And I almost, like, hit him with the door. And I'm looking down. I'm like, okay, Fariel, what do you think of the boots? And when I look up, John Mayer's right there. And I'm like, such a fan of John Mayer. And I look at John, and I'm like, John, what do you think of the boots? That was the first thing I ever said to him. And he was like, what do I think of the boots? And I was like, yeah, I'm trying to decide whether I should keep them or give them back to Fred Siegel, because I feel really bad about him, and I broke up with my boyfriend. I kind of went on this spending spree of just, like, buying a bunch of shit. And he goes, do you feel confident in the boots? And I was like, yeah, I kind of do. And he was like, then you don't need my opinion. He was like, you need to keep those boots. And I was like, you're right, John Mayer. And then he was like, you know, you could wear them with, like, a blazer, or you could wear them with a skirt or a dress. And we had, like, a fashion conversation for, like, 10 minutes with John Mayer and Henson. So that's the story of my breakup boots. I kept them, and I wore them into the ground on the Jesse James Decker tour.
That is so awesome. That is so awesome. You know, that goes in everything with what I know about, you know, John Mayer. Like, yeah, he, like, keeps typewriters. Like, he's a collector of typewriters. Does? Yeah, and he really? writes on typewriters.
That's so cool.
And he has, like, this he has kind of, like, this affection for, you know, kind of like old type things, and whether we like it or not, like, leather is going that way. You know, there's a time when we may not see leather in a regular store, you know, so wow. I think, you know, so he's like, that story is really cool.
Well, you know, like, it goes back to what we were saying about, like, meeting your heroes and stuff. Like, you never know, like, how it's going to go. And that was, like, the perfect way to meet John Mayer. It was the perfect thing I wanted to say to him.
Hey, John Mayer, I'm wearing my breakup boots here. What do you think of them?
Oh my God. One day I dreamed to work with him, and one day I just can't wait to be like, hey, remember that time?
That's awesome.
Time I met you and you told me to keep the boots? Thank you.
Because you were right. John
You were
Mayer's
right.
John Mayer is usually right.
He's normally right.
Well, hey, Alyssa, listen, we've been sipping some whiskey together and a little bit of rum for a while now, and I have to tell you, this is like a couple old friends kind of getting back together. I really,
man.
This has been fantastic for me. I'm excited for my world to get to hear your song and to make sure they're like checking you out. But tell everyone where they can find you on the socials, what device you prefer they listen to your music on, all that good stuff.
Well, thanks, Fred. Honestly, it's an honor to be here with you again, and it does feel like old friends, and I'm really grateful for that. Everybody can find my music on Spotify, iTunes, all over Amazon. I'm normally on Instagram. It's my favorite platform because it's easy for me, and I actually will connect with you on there if anybody wants to talk to me on there. It's me. I run it. I do my whole social media, so it's just at Alyssa Bonagura and alyssabonagura.com. And I still have vinyl and these records. Oh, I kind of want to show them to you really quick. Hold on. Wait.
Yeah, do it.
But when I was doing my last solo record was like in 2016 it came out, and it was called The Road Less Traveled. It was right before Sisterhood Band, and I got to make these really cool like deluxe packages. And you can get them on my website, and they have like, I'm really into like astrology and things, and so they had like all the stars, and it's really fun. And there's like all these little like kind of cards, and they have the lyrics on them, so you can kind of get them, and I sign them, and so anyway, if you go to my website at alyssabonagura.com, you can get these cool things and vinyl as well.
I love it. And if anybody so if you're listening to this or watching this, go buy one of those and then show me your receipt, and I will send you a Fred Minnick Show sticker, which is kind of like just like you see me behind here, and you'll have like a whole like collection. So
you gotta have that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is
a logo.
It's the world we live in. We miss things that we can touch and slap on the wall and put on vinyl. So like we missed that, and let's get back to it. But Alyssa, it's so great hanging out and just like sipping some whiskey, and the stories that you have. This isn't going to be the last time we get together. And I mean, hell, if we did our own show together, like our own podcast, I mean, watch out. The world would go nuts. I can tell you that right now.
Well, maybe we should. Maybe we should.
I don't know. Maybe we should. But
bourbon and music.
Bourbon and music. I kind of like the sound of that.
I do too. We could get some cool guests.
We could. It is fun having guests, but doing it myself and everything. But I have been thinking about having a co-host for a while, because it's it's fun doing it myself.
Yeah.
But I sometimes I like being set up for like a really good Q&A. But
yeah. Well, listen, call me. I'll do it. It'd be fun.
I'll have my people call your people. So
yeah, your people call my people, and then we'll drink some more bourbon together.
Always. Well, it's
Thanks,
great.
Fred.
So great hanging out. Be safe out there, and I will catch you on the Insta.
Yes. See you later. Thanks so much, Fred.
Absolutely. Also, vodka sucks.
Yeah, obviously.